Alright, these are some can stoves I've made. As you can see, this is burning just like a natural gas stove. This is another design I made to last for a long time. This one is really hot, and here's how you use this. You just put a cage around it, and then you can set your pan right on top on that cage. And my kids thought that I was pretty neat. We ran out of propane camping in Colorado. Took a couple beer cans and some rubbing alcohol, and boom, I made one of these stoves. I'm going to make this a little smaller. There we go. It'll hold my pan a little better. And so there you go. And that will heat up your coffee. You can boil water. You can warm up your dinner. And you can run these off of fuel like heat for putting in gasoline, hand sanitizer, anything with alcohol. This is 70% alcohol we're burning. What I used before was 95%, and they do work a little different. But as you can see, this is a very hot flame, and the other one will last for a very long time. It's two different designs basically. So in this video, I'll show you my burn test where I tried different designs, and then I'll show you how to make one. So there you go, cooking solved. One design I made had a small hole. It was too small and it held the fumes kind of like a combustion chamber, and it would explode, so that wasn't so good. So we increased the mouth, or whatever you want to call it, on all of these. Now this one's starting to heat up, so that's percolating the fuel, and it is now running through the holes, very much like my natural gas stove in my kitchen. So far this design, the first design I ever made on my trip to Colorado, is working great. I think the wick keeps things from moving along over here, and so far this is working kind of strangely. I imagine the cotton ball has to get seasoned somehow, or broken in like a wick in a lantern. This stove has nothing in the middle. Its own combustion sort of blows out its flame in there, but it's lit. It's having a hard time staying lit. It's too big of a area for the fumes, I think. And then this last style, the fuel just drips in the center, and it contains it within there with a cotton ball. Kind of hard to light. Let's try with a stick. This design has burned up all the fuel. Nice and hot, however. We're also looking at burn length, how easy it is to light. So I'd rule this one out. Kind of like the sealed idea, but I'd rule this one out. I wish this one worked. I thought that would be a good one. Let's try putting a little more fluid in there. I put some fluid on top, so that might be something that is needed for this style. Get a little fuel on the top and then light it. This seemed too big of a combustion area in the middle, so I'd rule that one out. Let's see if this flame balances out like this one did. I think the distance from the top to where the fluid is at the bottom is too far through the cotton ball. Alright, so to recap, this one does not want to seem to light. This one is hard to light. This one had too much open space to get the flame going. These two are burning the longest. This one burned the hottest. So now we're just going to have to wait. Okay, the results of the burn test. Don't blow on these to blow them out. I found that out. Use some sort of a cap to cap them. This design was the best for burning hot. This design is the best for burning long. These two both have the center ring within little holes cut out so that the fuel can go around. So that must be a superior design. The size of the hole is good. This was too small and was somewhat dangerous. And so there you go. This design is the longest, burns the longest. This design burns the hottest. And they both light easily, and these other ones did not light easy. So there you go. We'll move forward with these designs. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to make one of the can stoves. We'll make the one that is fast burning. I think that's the one most people would use. Heat up their coffee or something like that. I'm using the cardboard middle from some masking tape, a roll of masking tape. I'm using a Sharpie. I'm just spinning the can around so I get a nice line. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other can, so they're the same. There. Then I've made a guide so that I can put my hole right in the center of the can. And then I made this guide so that my holes will be in relatively spaced out properly, and not that this guide is perfect, but this sure takes a lot less time. So now I've marked all the holes, and I've marked the center, and I've marked on the can. I take my hammer and a nail, and what you want to do is just hold the nail on the hole, tap it, and then hit it through. Wiggle, and it comes out. Set it where it goes, hold it in place, tap. That little tap kind of makes a small little dent, and then it holds it in place for you real easy in that small little divot as you make the rest of the holes. But kind of move along here. The size of the hole will affect how your stove burns. About 4 more holes left to make here. Alright, so now I've made my holes going all around. Then I take a 1.5 inch paddle bit and what you really want to do is just score the can, and you can see it's starting to break through. And once the can is scored enough, you can just pop it through kind of like you would open up a can of beer. So this work is so much easier to do when the can is all in one piece. If you were to cut this and then try and do this work, it's almost impossible. There's a couple other tips as I cut this out. Right away, just push in with your thumb to start your scissor and cut the lid off, because that will make this thing rigid and hard to work with. So I've cut the lid off. I did all this work here. Now these scissors, you'll have to find some scissors that work well cutting at this angle. And these do, as long as I keep the piece that I'm wanting to have in the end to my right. These scissors cut really well. So there we go, there's our top piece. Now, dump the beer out. I'm cutting neatly along this seam because I'm going to want this center piece. Okay, now I have my bottom piece. My bottom piece, my top piece. Now I need to make a center piece like this that will go in the middle. And how I do that, I just trim up this edge, and then I just happen to know that right on this line under the label is the right height for that. Maybe this company will sponsor me or something. But anyways, cutting right across this line, I'm going to end up with my center piece. And I'll trim up these edges, and this will become my center piece. What will hold that in place as I put it in there is a piece of wire. You could also use a piece of heat ducting tape, metal tape, but this seems pretty easy just to use a piece of wire, and I just happen to know the exact length to make the wire, and then I just wrap it around there, and that's the center piece. How we put these together. I've tried lots of methods on how to put these together. If you use a larger can and apply heat, you can warp this out so that it can fit over with no seam. What I do is I cut a small seam, not very deep because I don't want to have a leak, and I want this to overlap a ways to seal any potential leak. And then you get the back in, and then you overlap that till it's overlapped, till it fits over. Now we've got a little bump, and I just sort of hammer that down so everything will fit, making sure my middle piece is where it should be. Looks good. And then compress gently. Alright, so this is what we have so far, and this is the style that seems to burn really quite hot and really well, and will heat up a meal. One more step, and we will go into the tool shed for that. Alright, last step. I'm just going to roll it real gently on this belt sander. It always reminds me, ear protection is a real good thing. Alright, now we're pretty much done. As I grinded that down, it made the seam virtually seamless. And I only like to go about this far, leave a little paint on. If you go too far, you can actually sand right through the stove. So this is pretty much complete. I've also had some thoughts of putting some aerosol paint that you'd use on an engine block on these to sort of make them look a little better. But there you go. That's how to make a can stove.